All right, so let's talk about migrating from SketchUp Pro 2016 to 2017. There's probably 3 tips I could give you. One is that you can migrate all of your plugins by copying them from your plugins folder and pasting them into your new plugins folder. You can also export your preferences out of SketchUp 2016. So that'd be your shortcuts and your file locations, and then you can import those into SketchUp 2017. And then the last tip, I just looked at this one because I was rather frustrated that there's no shortcuts export out of layout. So I did find a shortcuts file in the program files that can be overwritten and bring in all of your layout shortcuts rather than having to add them one by one, which is what I've always done in the past. So let's hop into SketchUp and let me show you around and how to set things up. I think one other first thing we should do is just install a template. If I go to File, New, and just start a new document, you can see that every time I start up SketchUp, I use my Condoc default template. This is a free template, a free resource. It also comes with the Condoc system, and the perspective tool is always free. So, highly recommend going to condoctools.com and grabbing our free version, and then check that out. But you can get our template, and let's install that. So, you used to go to Window, Preferences, on the PC, and on the Mac that was under SketchUp Preferences. Under Template, you would choose Browse. Well, they no longer offer us that button. So let me go over here and just choose File, Open. I'm going to open from my Dropbox under Resources, and then we've got Condoc version 3, Drawings, choose your units, and here we go. So I'll choose Open. So when I choose Open, this is actually that file. Well, I don't want to have to open this file every time and do a save as. I want to open it as a template. So I would choose File and then Save as Template. And that's going to ask me to give it a name. So I might just call this like Condoc _ default template. I might have already called it that. We'll see. Say Start. We'll overwrite the existing. That's fine. Perfect. So now, every time I start a new document in SketchUp, I'm using my Condoc default template. So no longer browse, you have to open the template and save as template. All right, let's take a look at exporting your shortcuts out of SketchUp 2016. So I'm going to go over here to SketchUp 2016, and we're going to go to our Preferences menu and kick out that preferences.dat file. Here we go. So I've already got all my shortcuts and file locations all set up in SketchUp 2016 because I've been using it for a year. So I can go to Window, under Preferences, and then go to Shortcuts. And I'm going to click on Export. And this is going to kick out a .dat file. I might throw this on my Dropbox under Resources. I usually keep one in here called Preferences.dat. That's perfect. So my options here are to export the shortcuts, which is my keyboard shortcuts, and I also want to kick out my file locations. Keep in mind that you might want to do this again on your desktop. Like I'm working on my laptop now, and my file locations are going to be applicable here, but on my desktop they might be different. So I'll say OK, I'll choose Export, and we'll go ahead and overwrite that, and then that's cool, we'll say OK. I don't need SketchUp 2016 anymore. I'll hop back into SketchUp 2017, go to Window Preferences, under Shortcuts, and choose Import. This time I'm going to import from, same place, Dropbox, Resources, Preferences.dat. My options are to bring in my shortcuts and my file locations. We'll choose Import. OK. And now I've got all of my, my shortcuts that are so familiar to me. All right, so L is for line, Q is for rectangle. My shortcuts are a big old mashup of CAD, SketchUp, Photoshop, and every other program I've touched through the years, and some things that don't make sense. But whatever it is, I highly recommend set up your shortcuts and then export them in this way. That way you can stay on that super efficient way of using your keyboard shortcuts. If you're not using keyboard shortcuts, you're running at half speed, I promise. Okay, so we can start a new document. That one looks pretty good. The other thing relating to shortcuts that I want to do is hop over into Layout, and we'll leave SketchUp open for now. I'm going to hop over into Layout and check this out. Under Window under Edit Preferences, Shortcuts, this is where you can add shortcuts. You can type into the filter like something that I use all the time is Document Setup. So I like to have a shortcut for this. I go into the text input and I use Control D, and then I have to click on the plus sign. All right, that's how you add a shortcut in Layout. And in the past, every time we got a new version of Layout, I would go through and just kind of manually do this. I would do maybe a handful of them up front that I could remember, and then I'd get going and I'd be like, it's so annoying. Like my align is like Control, Shift, arrow key, align right. And then I have to go and set those up again. So I did figure out a way to kind of migrate all of your layout shortcuts all at once. All right, so let's not add any just yet. We're going to hop into our Windows Explorer. I'm going to go to my C drive under Users, and this is under Mic, and then I need to go to App Data. Now keep in mind that in order to see the App Data folder, I need to go to View, Options. On the View tab, I want to show hidden files and folders. So that's the only way that you're going to see that App Data folder. So I'll go into App Data, Roaming, go to SketchUp, and then I'm going to go into SketchUp 2016, Layout, and I'm going to go to Shortcuts, and I'm going to copy my shortcuts. Copy that. Now I'm going to go over into SketchUp 2017, Layout, and check this out. My shortcuts are not in here, but watch what happens when I close Layout. I don't need to save that. I close Layout and my shortcuts just came back. I don't know what that means, but it has something to do with like when it starts up, it pulls that shortcuts file. All I'm going to do is right click and choose Paste, and I'm going to replace that file. So I just overwrote the shortcuts XML file in my SketchUp 2017 Layout folder. Now, when I go over to Start Up Layout, we're going to fire this up, and then I'm going to hit Control D and just make sure that my shortcuts are working. And we'll see if we have success here. All right, so yeah, I do use, I'll just start a new one. Control D I use all the time because I'm always checking my references and adjusting my paper quality and all that. So Control D, we're good to go. I can close this and hit Control D. I got a handful of other shortcuts here in Layout, but I'm sure I'll add some more, and make sure to keep this trick in mind because this is pretty handy. Setting up all of those shortcuts manually is not a fun thing to do. Okay, so we're good on template, we're good on shortcuts on SketchUp and Layout. The last thing we want to do is migrate our plugins from SketchUp 2016 into SketchUp 2017. This is going to be a similar task. I'm going to go back to that roaming SketchUp folder, and I'm going to go into SketchUp 2016, SketchUp, Plugins. Here's all of my plugins. I'll hit Control A to select all of them. Keep holding Control and tap Control C to copy them. You could also right click and choose Copy. And then I'm going to go over to my SketchUp folder, go to SketchUp 2017 under SketchUp and then Plugins, and here we go. I'm going to right click and choose Paste. Now you can see that I've already installed the plan generator or the Condoc tools, and I also have a few of these other like SketchUp default plugins that always just get added back in when you fire it up. So I am not going to overwrite those because I know we're good on Condoc, but some of the other stuff I'll leave it alone. That's fine. So that's copying all that stuff over. Keep in mind too that you're going to have loaded these, so that's good, but you might need to go and set up your licensing to make sure they're working properly. So give that just a moment, and it's going to ask us if we want to overwrite. So we'll go ahead and skip these files, and we're done. Okay, now in SketchUp 2017, I don't see any additional extensions because SketchUp loads them when you open up the program. So I close SketchUp, I reopen SketchUp, and now it's going to load up all of those plugins. And let's see that happen. It's probably going to bombard our screen with a bunch of heads-up warnings and things. All right, so yeah, it looks like some of these, a few issues couldn't be found. So, like, yeah, one of them, for instance, this lib extension, that's okay. The primary ones that I need are, we'll get rid of these guys here. The ones that I like to keep around are Estimator, Profile Builder, Frito Scale, and Shape Bender has been a favorite of mine lately. So these guys are all in there, and yeah, let's just give a quick test on Frito Scale. So we'll go to Taper, and yeah, we're good. Perfect. So it's not to say that when you do it like this, you are going to have to go through and check all your licensing and all that stuff. So, this is a good, quick way so that you don't have to install every single extension through the extension warehouse or through the extension manager. Just go into your program files and copy those from 2016. Put them in 2017. If something doesn't work right or for some reason it's not compatible, then you just go back in and delete it. Or you can go into your window extension manager and you can pretty much disable it, or I suppose you could probably uninstall things from here. I suppose you just disable it. You can always go back and delete it. So anyways, I hope that this helps you jump into 2017. It is definitely worth it. It's always worth upgrading and being on the latest and greatest. So get yourself SketchUp Pro 2017, get your settings in there and set up, and then get to work. So we will catch you in the next tutorial. Thanks for watching.